Hello and welcome back to Delatory Stories, where we interview local legends, business owners, and other interesting people. Today we have with us County Executive Jimmy Johnson.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thanks for coming on. And the first thing I wanted to ask was, in Fentress County, on the ballot and stuff, we call it the County Executive, but most places call it the County Mayor. What do you prefer?
I get called a lot of things, but anyway, what happened back in the day? They were city mayors and county mayors also, and so when they started doing business overseas and such, Chinese, Japanese, and such, and they came over here and they were getting it mixed up. Who they were talking with? They want to talk with the county mayor, but they were talking actually with the city mayor. And so they made it decisive there. So they went to the counties, took over county executive, and then you had the city mayors. But some of the county executives didn't go along with it. So they went and had a private act done with their county, and it went back to the state. And so they got back to being county mayors also. And there's I think 9 or 10 county executives left is what there is. So it's just paperwork change, but people know who I am, and
it's all the same thing.
It's all the same thing. Yes, yep.
It's just a title.
Yes, it's just a title. But yeah, it was just a separation from people from overseas to know exactly who they were talking with. Yeah.
Okay, well that makes sense. I always wondered that why it was like that. I've asked my mom about that before, and she didn't really know, and I've never really knew anybody that really knew.
That's what it boiled down to. Mm-hmm.
So, what got you into wanting to be the county executive?
Well, in 2014, we got elected county commissioner. So we were a county commissioner for that length of time. And before we ran for county commissioner, we actually ran. The 4 years before that, we did run for county executive at that time, and I came in third. And so I had a discussion when the next time came up with the gentleman that came in second. He asked me, he said, what do you plan on doing? I said, well, you came in second. I said, you go ahead and run for county executive, and I'll run for county commission, because if I can't get elected at the county commission in the first district, I sure can't win a county-wide race. And so that's how it worked out. And so I was county commissioner for 4 years, and then I ran in 2018 for county executive. So we got very lucky and blessed to get elected then, and then we ran for a second term. There's been since it came back to when county executive actually took over in the 80s. There's been just one other person's had a double term.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I was like, John B. Mullenix had it, and then I've got it, and so someone says, well, you ought to run it again, this and that, and set the record. Well, I don't think about setting no records. There's, it's the people that elected me, and that's who we're working for. And where I worked at beforehand, I worked for 26 years for them, and I had 6 bosses. So when I got elected as county executive in 2018, I got 18,600 bosses right now, and I consider myself at the bottom of the totem pole. They say the wind blows the hardest at the top of the flagpole, and it does. You get a lot of comments. You get some you don't really crazy about getting them, but the good will always outweigh the bad. And I think we was figuring up here a while back, we've had a little over, in the 6 years, we've had a little over 6,000 phone calls to come through the office, and we've answered. The secretary will always take a note if I'm not there or something, but I've always called them back. And there was one that I didn't get to call back, and I couldn't find his number, but I got to meet him and we talked. But it doesn't matter, some people want to maybe not say complain, but voice their opinion, and some just want a conversation, but they all deserve to be called back. If they leave you a message, try your best to get back in touch with them. Now, some of them you can't, because some folks will send in letters and they'll say things that they don't want to say to you in person. Then they'll not have a addressed envelope or a signature and stuff. There's not a lot you can do with that except read it and stick it in the drawer, and maybe they'll come through sometime and talk. But
that's just the kind of people that's wanting they're just wanting to voice their opinion, like you
Voice their
said.
opinion, that's exactly right. You know, some people may call in and want to talk about how the weather is. Somebody want to talk about how, you know, I've been fishing. Just a conversation, just a conversation. But when you're elected by the people, you're working for the people. They call it the county executive's office. Well, it is the county executive's office, but it's the people's. It's the people that vote to put you there. It's the citizens of Fentress County. It's their office. You're just lucky enough to be able to work for them, and you need to do your best to try to work for them. That's what we've tried to do for, including the commission seat for the last 10 now. This August will be 11 years, and it'll be 7 years as county executive. But it opens a lot of doors to where you can go out and see people. Some people like to maybe stay at the office more, but I like to be in the office at least 60, 70% of the time and then go see people because, and I'll tell you this little story. We have a good friend that was a soldier in Vietnam, and he got hurt, and of course I was just a kid then, 10, 11 years old, and he came home from service, and he had this little emblem on his badge. He got wounded, so he had to come home. Saw him one Sunday at church up there. And, you know, just a kid, you see all these medals on your shoulders. Just it's an eye-opener. But there's one on there that really stood out. And it said, it just had the letters. And it said, YCDBOA. And I thought, what in the world? I mean, here's a Purple Heart. Here's different medals and such. I said, what could that mean? So I asked him, and he said, my lieutenant gave me that. Well, I said, well, what does it mean? And it said it meant you can't do business sitting on your bottom. That's what the A stood for.
Yeah.
So anyway, and that stuck with me for years and years. I'm 70 now, and I can remember just the day that it happened. So me and my wife Debbie, we were in Gatlinburg, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and I said, I'm gonna get me one of those cedar signs made up, and it's in the court. It's on the shelves there at the office, but you really can't. You know, you need to see people. You know, we've been fortunate enough. We've got to go a lot of places and talk to a lot of places, and it's just that's what you have to do. But you need to be. Don't get me wrong. You need to be in the office also because there's stuff comes in every day. There's calls comes in every day. But you know, if you go out and you see some people and talk with them, they know that you're active and doing things, that you're not sitting up there, you know, asleep, and not saying nobody else just sit up there and sleep. I'm not saying that. Lord, no, I'm not. Don't take me wrong there. But you know what I mean. You know, if you don't have people there constantly, so you kind of schedule a lot of stuff in the mid part, you know, from the morning till in the afternoon, and some days most of the time we're there about till 5 or 6, sometimes later than that, 7 or 8 o'clock at night. But you need to be there. It's a time consuming. It's you know, it's not I'm going in at this time in the morning, I'm leaving in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's not a 9 to 5 job.
No, that office is not. You're there, and you're working for the people, and you know, so your phone stays on. My phone stays on 24/7, 365, and if I miss a call, I'll sure try to call them back. But it's if you're going to do a job, you got to be all heart in it. Your heart's got to be in it. You've got to be. It's just a continuous thing. You take the good with the bad, and the good will always outweigh the bad. And people they want to express their opinions, and you know, you have to listen to them, and then you say, okay, you know, we can agree to disagree, and you know, and if it takes a turn for the worse or something, and somebody gets a little heated there or something, you know, you can always work it out. If both parties will try, you can work it out. And am I going to do everything correct all the time? No, I'll make mistakes. When I was running for office, I told them, I said, now, you know, people say, well, why have you done this, that? I said, well, I'll tell you up front, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But I do know some very sharp and smart people, and so very fortunate. Just for the grace of God, of course, we give Him all the glory for everything we do here in the county to help people, and we try to help everyone that we can, you know, no matter what it is. And it's just we're very lucky. We've had a good almost 7 years as county executive. We've seen some things happen in the county that we had said we was going to try to work with, and it's not on one person. You have to have someone to help you do. You have to have someone to help you do things and to help do stuff. You can have a good thought, but you have to have a good start with. You have to have a good commission because I actually work under their authority also.
Mm-hmm.
They set the rules. They set everything that happens. Money wise. Can we do this? Can we do that? And yes, let's try to do that. And so I'll just, well, they say take the bull by the horns and go and try to do something. So, but it's good. There's this here term has, I think, 14 more months, and so it's been good, and it's good. It's still good. So the county's good. The county's in good shape. We can't do a lot of things that other counties can. We have to compete with them, but it's pretty good shape.
What do you think about how much the county has grown under your time?
The county has grown. We were at a conference. We have a conference with TCSA, which is the Tennessee Counties Association, and so the commissioners they can go to it. I can go to it, and the commissioners get service hours, in service hours for going and such. And information we got there this time, Fentress County since 2020 to 2024, there's like 8 or 9 counties in the state which are into the western part have actually decreased population. And this is percentage-wise, not people-wise, not persons, but percentage-wise for your size. There's right in Middle Tennessee, there's like 7 counties that have, or 6 counties and 1 out. Middle Tennessee that has actually grown in size, and then Fentress County, that's a population over a percentage over from 9 to 10%, and so we are at 8.9%. So we're the 8th county in the state of Tennessee that has grown in population at that point. Now we have some below us, like I think Cumberland County is like 8.6 or 8.5. Summers and Putnam County is the same. But we have grown, and that was a total of like almost 2,000 citizens have come into the county in that length of time. Then of course, I've been talking with our election officials up there, Mr. Joy Williams. From our last election until I think it was January this year, he had actually registered over 1,000 people. So we have people are moving to Fentress County. We have draws. We have a lot of retired people coming in here. So we're growing. We're growing because you can come to the clerk's office. It's right outside our office, and if you look at the tags, they're from all different states.
Oh yeah.
You see it daily. It's a growth pattern, and a lot of them are into the Big South Fork area, the Spruce Creek area, out in the Banner area and the Clark Range area is where a lot, but the population is in all districts of the county. Most of our people are coming from the Northeast and the Midwest. Seems like.
Yeah, it seems like most of the people I've sold houses to, I would say the majority of them has been people from Illinois.
Yeah, and people retire and come south. You don't hardly ever know of no one retiring south and going north.
Yeah, nobody wants to go to the cold.
There you go. That's right. And right now, I believe that the top 3 states are Tennessee, Texas, Florida, and Tennessee that people are coming to. And people are moving. They're moving out of the cities, out into the we're the suburb of Nashville or suburb of Knoxville, one we can call it. But we're really not. But,
yeah, we're kind of in the middle of.
We are in the middle, and that has a lot of stuff to do with your storm weather things. We're right in the middle. Talk about that just for a second. We're right in the middle of what you can call no man's land on the top of the Cumberland Plateau. We are the radar that comes out of, I believe it's not Kingston, but Knoxville. Oh, that's out of Knoxville over there. The radar really reaches to the edge of Morgan County and a little bit inside Fentress County, and then the radar coming out of Nashville, the National Weather Service, it comes to the edge of Overton and Fentress County. So what it is, the radar will shoot a lot higher coming at the angles that it has to come. It shoots higher, and you don't see a lot of what's going down right around the clouds and such. So that's the reason we have a lot of things slip up on us every once in a while. The bad storms which has come through here in the last 3 months, the storms that's come through here. For some reason, it seems like it's coming instead of being out in the Midwest, out in that area. It seems like more is coming this way. But hopefully, we don't have it and a lot of bad weather. But it's the season, and
yeah, I feel like a lot of those storms kind of when they're coming up the plateau, they weaken a little bit before they get here.
Yeah, but it's one of those things, and our emergency services do good work to cover that. We have a weather tower, a weather camera out here. We have one at Clark Range on the water tower there, shows kind of the south area, but it can be moved around by remote control. Where Mr. Bill Brewer, he wants to set it to look at, like there's maybe a storm coming, such. Then they have one the other side of the old hospital at the rescue squad building on that radio tower over there. It is, they have one there. Also, I mentioned the water tower, but it's not. It's just it's on another tower here that's in Clark Range. But they can see things, and we get notification pretty well from a lot of, and then of course call them storm chasers or whatever, visual people see them, and then they'll say, hey, I've got this out here, and it helps a lot, the people calling in and saying, this here's happened here and such. But, all of our services are rescue squad, fire department, EMA or EMS service, rescue squad, sheriff, and all of them, the sheriff, they all do good emergency work, and they're hard workers, volunteer electric, the city of Jamestown and all. It's a hand in hand to try to work together all the time, and in emergency services especially.
Yeah, I think overall in the county and all departments really just overall. I mean, you got the good and the bad and everything, but I think Fentress County has a really good group of people leading it in all different categories.
It is. We have good people to work with, and we have good communities to work in, and the people are citizens of Fentress County are so eager to help do something. It's when you're talk to people at the state level and such, and your other mayors and executives, how things are. We can't get some group to do this, do that. But I say, well, no, it's not that way. I said, people may not agree on everything in Fentress County, but they will work together when the time comes. And you see that just like your shopping spree at Christmas time. $25,000 or $30,000 are made up in 2 hours. Things like that right there. Something blows away. You have people.
Yeah,
a yard full of people to work to help put stuff back together and clean up. It's
people really come together
when you're at the level. When you get to the level of county mayor, county executive. You have a lot of conversations, and a lot of folks say, "Well, this don't happen." Don't happen. Well, it happens here, and it does. And we're surrounded by some good counties to help out a lot too. Cumberland County, Mayor Foster, and then you got Mr. Bill Breed in Birdstown, Langley in Morgan County, Jeffers over in Scott, and Randy Porter down here in Putnam County, and Barlow and Overland County. So we're pretty well where we can call and get help and get it pretty soon. White County, Smith County, those people like that right there. Mayors down there. So it's
the Upper Cumberland as a whole kind of really comes together as a community.
We have 14 counties in the Upper Cumberland, and it's and they have an impact in Nashville. We were trying to get some more funding for the EMS services across the state, and the EMS leadership, of course, in the state, we went and helped them. I mean, and it's different. Funding is a lot. Revenue is like our revenue. Revenue. If you don't have revenue, you can't do a lot of things. And everybody wants, and everybody needs, and but you have to have the revenue to do and improve and such things like that. And we have a good commission that tries to do the best, the best that we can for the revenue that we have. And the county, the counties, all you have there for funding is your land tax rate and then a private act. So that's the only two things that you have that be able to get revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those things have to be passed by the commission to do this and to do things. So now our penny value at this time is going to be about $60,000 per penny, and our tax rate is at 135. So that means we have 135 pennies to make up all our revenue. And so we're adjoining counties. Some of those are at maybe $247,000 a penny, where ours is 60 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And others some are lower, some are higher. But then when you look at that being there, their tax rates are higher.
Yeah, that's what I was fixing to say. Yeah. I think Fentress County does a good job of balancing it out, where we are able to do a lot of stuff and keep the county nice, but we're also able to keep the taxes at a reasonable rate compared to some other counties where
they are a little bit higher. But of course, when your taxes are private acts, everything's don't base. We have, I think, 43% of the population of the landowners in Fentress County, and they pay for basically everything. We are what they call 81. We're a 81 county, which means we have centralized financing. We have 3 divisions. We have the general, we have the Board of Education, and we have the Highway Department. Those are the 3 different ones that we have. And of course, the general takes care of your all of your sheriff's department, ambulance service, library, senior center, your parks, your employees, and those. So that there's what the general fund mostly, but there's more to it than just those that I mentioned. But basically, that there's quite a bit that they take care of. Of course, your penny is divided up into sections where it goes and how it's spent and such. So it's a lot of things that people don't realize sometimes. This is, we have what do they say? They're saying there's so much water in the well. If you keep dipping into the well, So, but it's we have a good finance department. We have a good group of commissioners that will pinch the pennies and such. And but it's you just can't have everything that you want. And of course, we apply for all the grants that we can. Any grant that we can get a hold of, we hope to get it. Which you can get some grants that there's no match. Then there's grants out there that is a 50-50 match. If you get a grant for, let's say, $300,000, if it's 50-50, you have to have 150 of it.
Mm-hmm.
CDBG, we've used that a lot for ambulance, fire trucks, and land and different things like that. But there is a percent where we were a distressed county, so we moved up to at-risk county. And what that says, you still get your grants, you can still get them, but when the higher you go up, the more that you have to come up with yourself. Mm-hmm. It's like a distressed county. I believe the rate on those grants are like from 5% to 10% that you have to come up. Say if you got $100,000, you'd have to pay either $5,000 or $10,000 out of your general fund to do that. When you get to at risk, it is more from a 10 to 20%, and so that means out of $100,000, you have to come up with $10,000 to $20,000 for that grant. Then there's some grants that you don't have to pay anything if you're lucky enough to get them, but they're in high demand and few of them. But we've been lucky to get some stuff. You're like your ambulance, you try to keep a new ambulance like in rotation. Before COVID, and during that time, an ambulance, you could buy an ambulance for around $165,000. Now that same ambulance is $365,000. Wow. And then you was probably on a 9 to 12 month basis of getting your ambulance in, so now you're at a 24 months to 36 months of getting an ambulance. So if you were to fill out one of these grants, you fill out the application, let's say today, and then in 4 or 5 months you get approved, and then you fill out, you send out bids, and then you get the bids in, and if there's another, say, 3 months, and then after you bid it out, then it's another 24 months, let's say at the quickest. So you are, to get that grant, you are, especially a CDBG grant, when you get that, you are actually in a 3-year time frame. And,
Yeah.
and until you get that one completed and finished, you can't apply for another.
Yeah, you're stuck right there.
Yeah, and so also then your ambulance, they can have what they call where you take the box off of them to put on another chassis. Those at one time were around $65,000 to $80,000. Now they're $185,000. So it's you got to take care of things. I don't know if you can't get a grant, then you go into your general fund or private act somebody to raise the money that you do, where you can get the money to do it. But we've been very lucky on grants. We have good directors now in all our departments that are working for us, and our county is sound. And like I said, we have a commission that I get to work with, and they do a great job, and our directors does a good job, and it's just everyone working together, and it's understanding the process is a lot of it. When we first ran, you think, well, man, I'm going to run, for this county commission seat and see, because, I think I might be able to do a lot of things, but it's a lot different when you actually find out what you can do and what you thought you could do. It goes back to that church song, I'd rather be on the inside looking out as the outside looking in. Well, it don't work like that in politics. It on the outside looks like you can do a lot of things, but when you get in there, it's really not.
Yeah, the average person looks at it from the outside, and you think, why aren't they doing this, and why aren't they doing that, and this and that? But once you get in there, you realize there's a lot more to it than it looks like you just said.
Well, that's where I was. I thought the same thing until you get there, and but it's it's a lot. It's time consuming, a lot of it, and your commissioners is too. When you go in, you get a lot of calls on this, and they'll try to help what they can, and we do also. But everything's went pretty well, and it's good. We've got at one time we thought we could have a nice sports complex on a piece of property that we bought out here, that we bought there in town, outskirts of town right there, but city limits. But with that grant there, it was one of those 50-50 deals. And so when we thought it went on for about a couple of years, and they come back and they said, well, if you do this, it has to stay like this. Nothing different can come in. It has to continue being something or build on to this. And so I'm thinking, I don't know, because there's a time that that is the time that the solid waste burned, and it burned up all the equipment and all this, and so we had to deal with that. And so I'm thinking, hey, so I called the folks and I said, we're just not going to be able to do this at the state. And they said, that's fine, we understand. And so we just held on to it, because at the same time, the hospital had closed. We lost 150 jobs there. Didn't know what was going to take place. The solid waste had burnt, so that was a rebuilding process. You don't know what your insurance is going to do, and such and such. So I don't know, was it supposed to be like that? Because now with that piece of property, we're going to have a full blown out Rome State TCAT in the same building, 49,000 square feet building there. That's going to be because they've had, I think since Rome State started, they've had 3 different homes. And so this will be a permanent thing. It's a $25 million project. And what we have invested in it is $65,000 when we bought the land. That's all we have, and it turned into a $25 million project.
Wow.
And so that's what the state has done. The governor left it in there. Ken Yeager carried it down there, and the bill down there, and the governor did leave it in there. And of course, Kelly Keesland, and at that time, John Mark Wendell was there, and now Mr. Ed Butler is there supporting it also. And,
just like it was meant to be.
Just like it's meant to be. You don't know. We're all, to me, I'm a firm believer, we're where we're supposed to be for the time that we're there.
Yeah, it's all part of God's plan for you.
Something will say, hey, it's time to move on and let somebody else do things, and that's the way it feels in politics a lot of times, But you know, whether I run again or whether I don't run again, I've been blessed by being here. I really have, and I hope that we've helped somebody in a way. But
So you haven't decided on that yet if you're gonna?
not going to. It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of things to do. You know, how your family is. You know, I'm 70 years old, and this is getting to be it's a young man's job, or a young lady's job.
Yeah.
But it's good. You know, whether we do or not, we've had a good experience. We have met just uncounted, you know, people that you would never have got to meet. We've got to be places and talk to what they call hierarchies. We've got to see a lot of those and meet with them and get acquainted with them and promote Fentress County. And a lot of people knows what's going on in Fentress County anymore. They really do. I have some good friends that are mayors, and well, I want to come and see you, but at the end of the road, and I couldn't get a flight out that far up. I'm thinking, you crazy nuts, you. But we gig and this and that each other a lot. But we have some really good relationships with other mayors, and we've built that, and I hope it will continue, whether I'm there or not. It needs to be, because what they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. A lot.
Yeah, that's true in every kind of aspect of life. I feel like.
And, you know, you have to respect everybody, you know, where they come in, which nobody comes in and hollers and screams much, but you still got to respect them. I mean, that's their, you know, that's how, you know, and you know.
Everybody's got their own opinions. That's what
Exactly
I've talked about on here before is people, a lot of people don't really think about it, but everybody's grew up differently than everybody else, and everybody's lived their own life, so no one's going to have the same thoughts as everybody else. And sometimes you're going to agree on this and that, but a lot of times you're not. And especially somebody, I guess, in your position, you've got to keep an open mind to everybody.
You sure do. You know, it's, you know, shucks, I'm the youngest of 15 kids. My oldest sister was born in 25, and I was born in 55. My mom and dad, mom was born in 1908, and Dad was in 1904. You know, they were there with the dirt roads, and I've heard the tales of all the dirt roads and walking the hoeing the corn people had to do. You know, I don't see how they survived with a big family, but they managed.
Oh yeah.
And then of course, when they moved to the north in about 49, 50 and such, and they moved up there, and then my dad passed away in 61. I was 6, and then mother moved me and two sisters and myself back down here. And, you know, it's, but everybody else, you know, everyone's had, you know, everybody can tell you how hard it was back then. And it, you know, it's hard now for a lot of people, and, but we're fortunate to live in the country that we do. No, we don't agree with everybody. You know, hardly you can go to a sports thing anymore. Somebody fusses around a little
Oh, yeah.
But then when they walk out, you know, it's like, you know, like me, you know, they call me tonight at 2 o'clock, and I'll get out of the bed and go help you. I don't care who you are or what. But, and when we ran, you know, we ran on the first time we ran on the policies that we was going to try to help do something in agriculture, health, and education, and with the help of a lot of people, commission, and a lot of other people, you know, we've been able to accomplish those things. But it's been a team effort, you know, and I've said several times, you know, I can get in a car or a truck and start to California by myself, but somebody's got to have some gasoline or diesel fuel or something on the way out there. But, you know, you can't do anything by yourself. I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah, I agree with that. In politics or business or anything, it's all about who you surround yourself with.
But we have a good county. We have and I tell people, you know, we have a good county here. You know, I wouldn't want to live in no other county right now because would you like to see some more things? Of course, you'd like to see a few more things. I don't want to be a metropolitan area. I would like to see more things happen for the children growing up, and that's just like the campus out here that they're working on now. It's supposed to be open in April the 16th, and they're really working hard on it out there, doing a lot of things. They're putting the subroof down now on the biggest part of the building. They're laying blocks on another part, and of course there'll be Roan State classes and TCAT classes, and I know they'll have several different things out there. When they get going, we'll be the only one in the state that will be doing underground work as far as construction, cables and stuff like that, and they've got some new equipment that's going to be trained, and they're going to have several different things there. But it's a big building, almost 50,000 square feet.
It's huge.
And the thing about it, it's just it's all coming from, of course, there is no free money. People says we want some. There is no free money.
No, it's got to come from somewhere.
It may be we may be spending money from tax money that people in California or somebody had.
Yeah, it's somebody's money.
It's somebody's money. There is no free money there. There's certainly not. We're lucky enough to get some. Of course, like I said, we just have in that place out there $65,000, and then the building for the ER we've seen. We saw within a year and a half, there was almost 14,000 people went through the ER down there in the clinic in a year and a half. So that there shows you that the need was, and that didn't. You had people out here that was wanting to buy land. You probably saw it in housing stuff, and the first thing they want to know. Do you have an ER, a hospital, or something?
Yeah, I got asked that all the time. How far to the hospital?
Yeah, that's the way it is.
And it's very great now to be able to tell them, especially if you're building out towards Jamestown, to tell them, well, we've got the ER right here. If you have any emergency, you're covered.
Yeah.
Because before that turned a lot of people off before.
It did, and a lot of people worked on that. Helped do it. Mr. Romer, he went out and gathered up about several signatures, like over 4,500 signatures, I think is what it was, and had me to take them to Nashville, and we did. And just a lot of people working together, on the school building. You had to have your water, your sewer, and the city's putting the line from the school out to down about the Faith Baptist Church down there for the sewer, and then the utility district with the water. Everybody's got to do some things.
You got to get everybody on the same page.
You sure need to. And then the Ag Pavilion out here, we wanted to put it at a different location, but we couldn't because of drainage and because of your sewer perking and such. I was going to have to put a bunch of pumps in, so we ended up getting that land out there, and now I think Mr. Gunner told me that the capacity in the meeting room is like right at 100 people, and you have a lot of your master gardeners, master farmers, master beef growers, and all those things like that right there have been meeting out there quite often. And then you have it's just where they were at, it was a building, and it needed a lot of work done to it, and there hadn't been anything done in years and years and years. And so we had the opportunity to do it. We had some funding that we could do, and of course we went and got borrowed the money on it, and so that's the payment. That's what we have there, and our monies, our pennies goes to all of our sales tax. Our sales tax of also the counties, the cities, and also the city of Allard. 50% of all sales tax has to go to the Board of Education. 25% of it goes to solid waste. And then our other 25% goes into debt service, which that's all it can be used for is debt, to pay off debt if you have debt. And I think the other two, I'm not sure where theirs goes to, maybe general fund, but that's where it comes out of, like debt service pays for things like that. And of course the county was fortunate enough, we had a good debt service, so the county last year finished paying off South Fentress School, because back in the day they had to put up money to build South Fentress School, and so we got it paid off last year. So now, and of course the Board of Education had paid off all their before the other three schools. I think it was three, three. And so, and they did a good job at that, and so all the schools are paid off, and that's a real good thing. And so, but on the county side, we have the jail to pay for, which that was a big issue. Of course, they were sending a lot of prisoners out of town, so you was paying, $30 or $35 a day for another county to keep your prisoners, and it's so if you figure it up, if you're sending out 70 prisoners a day someplace else at $30 a day, that's $2,100 a day that you were paying out, and times that times 365, and then show you what you're paying out.
Yeah, don't make no sense.
So it's just like I lost my phone this week, and so I had to go get another one. So I said, well, I'd just like to have one like that back, or where you need to upgrade. So for $2 more on the month on the bill, I got the phone bill, So, but that's how it was, If you could see if you're paying out more than what you could have your own, you kind of need to get your own. So, but we're good. We're solid. The county's solid. Fentress County is a good place, great place to live, or we wouldn't get so many people coming here.
One thing I wanted to ask was, and getting back on the growth a little bit, how much do you think the new road on 127, the upgrades to 127s, how much do you think that's going to impact the growth? Especially, I feel like in Clark Range, with us being so close out here to Crossville and Cookville anyway, and being, just whatever, I'd say it'd probably take me, without the construction, you can be on the interstate from where I'm at out here by the four-way in 15 to 20 minutes. Yep. So they get that new road in. I just feel like, I've told people about this before, I feel like eventually, and it may not, but I'm not talking in the near future, but I'm talking 30 years out or something, Clark Range could get the size of how Crossville is now, or used to be, and then Crossville could get the size of Cookville, and Cookville's going to grow to be the size of Murfreesboro or somewhere like that. What do you think on that?
I think you need a gate to put up because the growth's going to be there. We spoke about the road. Well, when the road, we had the meeting out here at, I guess it was, but it might have been up at, I'm sure where we had the meeting. It was either at Leslie's office or it was at I forget where it was. But anyway, when they announced the road coming through, that was going to finally get started.
Is that the old Ron's building?
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. At that time, we, of course, it's been coming since the '60s. It really has, because there were surveys done back in the '60s.
Well, I remember my grandpa telling me that back in, I guess, the '60s or something, mm-hmm. They were originally wanting to bring the interstate through Monterey and through Clark Range, yep. Because it was a better route to go that way.
To go to 60 to 75.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And they were wanting to do that, and then I guess
got knocked in the head.
Yeah, Fentress County and Morgan and mm-hmm. I guess Monterey, Putnam, that area, they didn't want to do that, so they kind of they forced them to take it over there.
Well, when you see what you gonna say, 250 feet probably, and then a roadway and taking up a lot of farm place and this and all that. But we're on the. You asked about, people's gonna come, because now, of course, I was in an ID board meeting this morning. They actually had 3 RFIs, which is a request for information about the industrial park out here, from 3 different. Well, one of them, you get a lot of them. Some of them needs, like this one needed almost 1.5 million gallons of water a month, which that's something that happens in your bigger cities, and 8,000 employees. Would you get them? But people knows it's there, and they're asking about it. And so I look for something to happen in the near future, and I don't know when, but it might be 2-3 years. But right now, 127 project was, when we had the meeting out here that day to announce that it's going to start, they were going all the way to the bypass. And so now, and that was in a 3 to 5 year program that the state TDOT was having, and they was going to do from Interstate 40 to Potato Farm Road, and get that going, then do the bridge, how they're doing the bridge, and then when they got that pretty much how it is, I think the bridge is late 26 or early 27, and the part that they're doing now from Potato Farm Road onto the interstate is like in late 26, going to be finished, the signs say on the road. So now that was in like a 3 to 5 year plan. So now we're in the 10-year plan. So what that means is it will stop at Little Road. There won't be no more construction on north. And what they're going to do, they're going to go back and do the other two places in Cumberland County. So, and Mayor Foster's great to work with in Cumberland County. You know, I have a lot of great respect for Mayor Foster and all of our mayors around here because they're easy to work with. They really are. So that'll be good for Cumberland County because they'll have theirs finished. But what it will do for Fentress County, it will have a main new road all the way to 62 that will put you to the industrial, at the ID board, the industrial part down here, about a mile down on 62 up this way.
Mm-hmm.
It'll put a new road all the way to there. So that's going to get people to looking even more than just the 4 that we had last month, that the ID board had last month, which I'm not on the ID board. I'm just there for information or answer a question if they need one. I can't be on the ID board. So that's going to be a major thing right there when they get the road finished in like maybe 27 or 28, I believe is what it is. But they are buying land still from Little Road to Kilby Road. They have about 60% of it bought, and so they have to continue buying that. And so what I went to Nashville and talked with the commissioner and some folks from the governor's office, and we went down there, and representatives was there. Keeling was there. Mr. Sherrill from White County was there, and I'm thinking maybe, I don't know if Mr. Butler was. Anyway, this Mr. Butler, I'm thinking, was probably there. But what I'm asking for, and yesterday in the RPO meeting that we had down there yesterday, I asked them the same question. You know, mom and dad, and granny and grandfather, and some of the children sold their land. I mean, it's coming through, and they said, okay, we're going to sell it. We'd like to see the road come through here, so we'll let y'all take our property or buy our property. So they have to continue that all the way to what they've started. But what I'm asking for is maybe in the next 3 or 4 years, back up and start construction, and at least go to there where we've bought the land, or where y'all have bought the land too anyway, because that's what they gave their land up for, to have that. And hopefully something like that will happen. But TDOT is a debt-free service. They don't borrow money to build roads. And they just gave up, what was it, $500 million for the disaster. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
They had to use over in East Tennessee. Excuse me. But it's we work with all of them. We've made numerous trips there and this while we've been in this office, and what happens in the future is what we'll be led to do. And if we feel like it's good for us another term, we will. But if we need to do something else, we're 70 and I've lived out, and so that there means that I have got my allotted time according to biblical 70. So I've got that. So I'm living on borrowed time now, I guess you might say. It's but anyway, it's good. People have been good. Met a lot of people. Would help anybody that's called or wants to call anytime during the day or night. It does, we try to help them all, so.
Whether you come back for another term or not, what would you like to see the future of Fentress County look like?
I'd like to see some more revenue some way, that we could do more stuff. Really not a lot, but do something to, we don't need to, I don't think go here and build $2 or $3 million place or something like that, but have things that could improve what we do have. Because just to say the parks, the county has this park, the South Fentress Park now, because the folks that did it did a great job, and they had it for years, and they volunteered the whole time. And and your volunteerism is now starting to fade away, because it's been people my age, a little younger, that have been the volunteers for years and years, and they did an outstanding job of even getting this park going out here. And then we have the Kirby Johnson Park over there. I'd like to see something happen there. So it's, we have some room to do some things out on this park out here, because there's more room around it.
Yeah, there's plenty of open land.
Yeah, you're kind of locked in, and so there's 17 acres out here. A lot of work's went into that park by a lot of individuals.
And it's made it a great place.
It is. I think the statistics showed last year that there was around 75,000 people visited that park a year.
Wow. Yeah, I would have never guessed that. That's incredible.
It is, because you actually have people that will come from northern Cumberland County, western Morgan County, and in area down here in Putnam County also.
Yeah,
That comes up here and uses it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Just the other day, I was up there. Me and my buddy, we go up there and play tennis, and me and my wife go play tennis sometimes. And we were up there, and there was a lot of people around our age. I'm 27, and there was just a lot of people out there on the softball, playing softball, practicing softball, like 20 people out there. And they were all around my age, and I didn't know any of them. Yep. And, around here in small town Clark Range, surely you'd think I would know one of them, or my wife would, or my buddy would, or somebody would know somebody around that age. And I was like, I don't know where these people are coming from to the park, but I've seen them up there multiple times, and they're definitely coming from somewhere else.
But we went out, they was having some problems with the field out there, and we went out there and worked on it. And the trustees come out and helped do some work. Mr. Randy Royston, he came out and helped do the how the field needed to be, and we come out there and we worked with them and for a couple 3 days there when we had a chance to come out here but they it's got it now. And I noticed coming back and forth, we've had all this rain. There's no rain standing on it now. We got Mr. Horst. He had to come out there with some equipment and got the elevation set and stuff just right and all. So we're doing what we can. We've had some things and had some monies there laid back and got some more equipment for it and such. So it can be used. You're gonna have to put some stuff different places. The big thing people are wanting now is a pickleball court.
Yeah, pickleball's grew a lot.
It's grown a lot, and a lot of people can use it because it's a smaller court and this and that. So hopefully we might be able to do something that in the near future, hopefully. But it's just upgrading, and it's a lot of the stuff that has been bought has been wood, and of course wood deteriorates finally, and there's a lot of kids uses that stuff.
Oh yeah, they wear it out up there.
They really do, and we've got some good folks up there now. That have always had good folks, don't get me wrong, but we've got some now that 2 folks are up there about 20 hours a week apiece, and they do an excellent job of keeping things picked up.
Yeah, they keep it clean and kept it.
We've had a little vandalism, and we certainly don't want that. And if anybody if you see somebody out there that's doing something that they shouldn't be doing, just give me a call or give our office a call, and we'll certainly hopefully get taken care of, because it's just we've got so much money you can spend on things, and if it gets torn up, then now everything's doubled. Somebody comes there and jerks a commode off the floor or something like that, or takes a door off, beats stuff up, busts his lamps and stuff. We don't, you really don't need that. And I would like to say that there's not a lot of it, but there's some of it. But we have some folks up there really taking care of it this time right now and doing a great job. And but like I said, we've got a great community. We've got a great county. We may have our faults sometimes, but everybody tries to work together as they can.
Well, I know you're a busy man here, but one last thing I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to somebody who is wanting to be a county mayor, who's looking to be in that position one day?
Well, I would think if that's what your desire is, follow it. Anybody out there graduating or what, follow your dreams, your young children. That's one thing about the school that's coming in out there. It's a major school. It's very rare for you to know of a county our size to get in something like this. It started in over at Huntsville, Oneida. I was over at a meeting one time, and they said, well, they go around after everything. Well, what would you like? I said, I'd like to have one of these in Fentress County someday. Well, like we said a while ago, sometimes you're at the right place where you need to be, and the people hear you. And sure enough, that's what happened. And the next week we got a call from TBR, which is the Board of Regents. It's over all your colleges. And they'd called and wanted to come up here, and Superintendent Jones and some of the faculty from the Clark Range High School in York was there, and they know the needs of what the kids needed at the high school level, and everybody worked together, and a lot of trips here and there. But it's like I said, like the little sign says, you can't sit on whatever all the time. You've got to get out and do things. And it's a hard job. If you spend the time it needs to be spent in it, it's wear and tear on you. You're not going to please everybody, even though you try to please everybody. You're not going to please everyone, which that's what you try to do. It's what I've tried to do, and but you can't. But
I guess when you're doing that, you're trying to please everybody. But I guess when you're in your position as a county executive, county mayor, you've really, like you said, you've got 18,000 bosses.
Yep.
You've got to at least try to make the majority happy the majority of the time.
But there's not a.
But you're not going to get that every time. But I guess that's the goal.
But there shouldn't be a night that, I mean, this is me talking. You don't go to bed of the night unless you're thinking about something. You don't wake up in the middle of the night unless you're thinking about something. And it's happened. You think about, the children. As just children, you wake up in the middle of the night thinking, these children, they have something, they got a place to, and you want to be able to do and have things for them, and it just don't happen. And it can't happen because you have so much that you can do, but it don't keep you from wanting to. You follow your dream. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But there's a lot of work to it. I would say, come to, if you get to around here in the counties, you can, if you're 18 years old, you can run for office. As far as commissioner, as far as that, they had a boy in Morgan County, was in high school, 18. He got elected as commissioner in Morgan County a few years back. But there's a lot of responsibility, because if you're 100% invested, you think about everything. Our office has the least authority of any elected official. But if somebody gets mad at road supervisors, get mad at solid waste, if they get mad at one of the offices in the county, and at the courthouse, your clerks, your register of deeds, they'll bring it to you, or anything. I've had calls, hey, I've got a dead goat in my yard. Well, you try to find out to get it out, and you call them back, and you say, well, we've talked to someone, this and that.
It all comes back to you in the end.
It all lands back in this lap right here, yeah. And it's just like your finance. You have your finance department. If things happen there, it falls back, whether it's the finance director's, fault or my fault, whatever. It falls back in our lap, as far as that does. And you just try to work things out. But if you're someone's die hard and they want to do it, I'd say jump right in the middle of it, but go to your meetings and come and talk to whoever's in office, in any political, wherever it is. Talk to them, see what they think. But when you go into it, just don't go to it and thinking what we talked like a minute ago. Looks good from the outside, but when you get inside, study up on it, see what you can do. I can help them find books, whatever. But it's probably not for everybody, but there's somebody out there that can do a good job or a better job. And so, and if I don't run or not, I hope whoever it does, I'm sure you could find anybody probably do better than I have. So,
no, I think you've done a great job.
I appreciate it, but it's a lot of, you got to have a work ethic at it. You got to have it in your heart. You have to have it in your heart.
You got to be passionate about it.
You sure do. To everyone. It don't matter. It's like when we ran, we said, and both times around, I said, it didn't make me no difference if you drove a beat-up Volkswagen or a Rolls Royce, or if you live in a pup tent, or if you live in a mansion on the hill. I'm going to try to work for as hard as you is, and that's what it's got to be. That's how it is.
Yeah, you got to be a leader for everybody.
Yeah, you've got to be a friend to everybody, and that's where our office is. It's all open. The only time our doors are shut if we're in litigation or something other, disciplinary act. But we don't have a lot of that. But you've got to have open door policy. All your meetings have to be open, unless it is disciplinary, or if it's some kind of litigation with an attorney and your members like that. There's a lot of things. No votes can be thought of. No, you can't talk. They can talk with me, but You can't talk in a group of saying, well, this is how we're going to vote, this is how it's going to turn out. That there is a violation of sunshine law right there. You cannot do that type of stuff. All your meetings, all your political meetings, your budget meetings, your committee meetings, all of them have to be open to the public. It's got to be transparent.
Yeah, because really, if you break it down, when it comes down to it, you're spending their money.
You are.
It's their money. I mean, you wouldn't if you and your wife were gonna buy something, and you went out there and you just say, I just went behind my wife's and bought a house or something. That wouldn't look good. That's kind of the same concept. You can't go. You can't go behind the community's back and do something.
No, it's all.
You have to be open and let people be there to hear what's going on and know why their money's going there and what's going on.
Public records is public records. You can't. You can, but if you keep, somebody wants something day after day after day after day, there's actually a charge you can do for so much of it. But if somebody comes in and wants a public record for something, how a meeting went or something like that, that's what our HR department is up there. You contact them and you can get taken care of. But it all has to be transparent. All your budget making, especially your budget. All of our budget meetings are open. It's broke down to all the departments come up there and turn their budget in, and they're all present when they turn it in. Why do I need this? Why do I need that? And we have some good office workers that they do good. They stay within their budget, and but like you said, like I said a while ago, you've got about 42 or 43%. Makes the big payment, and it is the landowners. And but anyway, I've enjoyed it. I sure have, and I appreciate the invitation to come out.
Well, thank you for coming on, and maybe we'll have you back one of these days when we can talk for a little longer or something.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to thank everybody out there for listening, and we hope you subscribe to the podcast and listen to our future episodes. And we want to thank Mr. Jimmy Johnson for coming on again. And
you're welcome.
And we think you've done a great job as the county executive.
I appreciate it.
Really
had a lot of help along the road.
Appreciate all you've done for the county, and thank you again for coming out.
A lot of several before me sat in the same chair. Well, we buy a new chair once in a while.
Well, there you have it, folks. Mr. Jimmy Johnson, county executive. We hope you enjoyed listening. Have a good night.